Welcome to the But Also Trail Running Podcast. I'm your host, Celeste Fong. Let me start with a warning that this is an adult-only podcast. There will be profanity and indecent conversations. I would apologize, but I'm not really sorry. Tonight, Mommy is joining me for...
Hello.
Oh, say hi, Mommy.
Hello.
For one of our favorite people on earth is our guest, and that is Rick Shoup. Say hi, Rick.
Hi, Rick.
Okay, you're an asshole. All right, so little background. I have known Rick for, God, it's over 10 years, right?
Oh, yeah,
At
easily.
least. Maybe 2014? Is that when we became friends?
Well, I think we started doing the race thing about 2016, so I don't think we would have interacted before then.
Okay, so 2016. Okay, so I knew it was close to when I started running, but I wasn't sure exactly when. All right, now, I have a reputation of being an idiot, but I think you might be more idiotic than me.
That's tough.
Mommy,
Yes,
side are you on?
my own.
Okay, wrong answer. Anyway, all right. So just a little background about Rick. Rick, how old were you when you started running?
Oh, geez. I can't do math anymore. It seems like forever, but it was early 40s that I started running. And the reason I got into running was I used to play soccer. I played soccer since I was little. And when I got in my 40s, it was just harder for me to recover. I would get kicked in the shins and it'd take me the good part of the week to get back in the gym. And I always enjoyed running. And I wasn't aware that there was such a thing. Like, I thought like races were something like it was every blue moon. But I didn't know that like my wife Katie and I had moved to like this hotbed of the race scene in Connecticut, and that you could find not only a race every weekend, but you could find like 10 races a day. So it was great. And so I kind of embraced that as my new fitness thing, because I always had liked running as part of soccer, but it was great to be able to run and not get kicked, except when I'm running with you, of course.
And then you started, because for anybody who doesn't know, Rick and his wife Katie are huge 169ers. Like, speaking of, I got to talk to your wife because I want her to come on. But anyway, how many times have you finished?
Just once.
Oh, you only did once?
I don't know. I might have accumulated a number of additional towns for a second one, but I didn't track the second round. Once was good enough for me.
And your baby, or my baby Quinn, your dog, was the first dog to ever do a race in all 169 towns, right?
Correct.
Yeah, because Quinn is a good girl.
Yep. So, and that took a little bit more doing because it's not only that there's towns that have elusive races, but it's also towns, a lot of these races don't allow dogs. And so it was a little bit more difficult to find races in every town in Connecticut for a dog.
And that's stupid because all dogs should be allowed everywhere at all times.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, and then we got into Ragnar's. So what was the first Ragnar we convinced you to do with us?
We did. So I was a replacement for Ragnar Niagara Falls, which was fantastic. And it's an event that is no longer run anymore. I don't think they could run it anymore, where you start on the Canadian side of Niagara Falls. You run part of it over there, and then you finish on the American side.
No,
so
we finished on the Canadian side.
Oh, we did?
Yeah, we finished on the Canadian side of the falls.
Oh, okay. Well, so yeah, so it was good times. Everybody not only had to be willing to drive all the way up to Niagara Falls in a van, but you also had to bring your passport. That was our first time. But then you and I talked you and Selena into doing very quickly. We joined a random team for Reach the Beach. So Niagara Falls was spring, and then in the fall we did Reach the Beach, which is always a fall race. Right.
And then, God, soon after that, you kind of took over as our team captain.
Well, so Selena was always, I like to think that like captains, it's hard to do in a vacuum. You have to have somebody that teaches you the ropes, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so I did a number of Ragnars where Selena was captain. So she captained Niagara Falls, and then she did New England the next year. And I believe she did Reach the Beach an additional year. And so I just kind of like tagged along, took notes, saw her vision of the way a captain should be, and learned from her. And then kind of that's how I do a Ragnar myself now, which is it's not so much about pace, but it's about personalities. It's about supporting your teammates. It's about fun.
Yeah. I can't even tell you how many. I think last year we did 4 together. Is last
Nope.
year Craig did the 12?
Yeah, that's when
Yeah.
we both did the 12. Yeah.
Okay, so explain this whole 12 Ragnars in a year thing for people that don't
Sure.
know.
Sure. So Ragnar, until this year, they discontinued it, sadly enough, this year. What they would do is they would encourage you. And for people like myself, I mean, this is why I think a lot of us have drank the kind of the Run 169, Run Every Town in Connecticut Kool-Aid, which is you like to complete things. You like to accumulate. You have a goal you're going towards. You run all the towns. And so for Ragnar, what they would do is if you ran one Ragnar, you got a medal at the end of it. But then if you ran a second Ragnar, they do something they call like a combo medal. And so you get an additional medal, and it was just something like ridiculous, but it was addictive. And Ragnar what they did was they designated if you ran 12 in a calendar year. So January, I think that their first one would be like in April through December. If you're in 12 of them, they call you an immortal, and they give you this just ridiculous size medal. Like it's just a plate size medal. And I got to the point where I was running enough of them. So I did, 2 that first year with you and Selena.
Mm-hmm.
And then next year, I think I did something like 5 or 6. And then next year I did like 8. And I was like, well, if I did 8, I could find a way to get 4 more somehow and then get to 12.
I love
And
that
so that
so
was
much.
my goal last year. And of course, the best way to do it is to do it as a group of people versus joining random teams. And so that's how Craig was like-minded. He was interested in doing it. And then Caleb, Claire, and some other people. And so we ran most of those races together, including you. So I would pull you in when possible to do Ragnar's last year. And so you kind of, yeah. You got
Was
roped
last
in.
year we did Bourbon Chase?
No, it was
You're full last. Yeah.
I don't remember. We did Bourbon. What else did we do? Reach the Beach,
Vermont.
Oh, and Virginia.
Richmond.
Yeah.
Yep.
Richmond. Richmond was one of my favorites ever. I hated the drive. The drive home, I was in tears. It was so bad. But I loved those trails. They were
they're pleasant.
so easy. And we did the ultra team on that one.
Right.
That was one of my favorite Ragnars I've ever done. And I'm sad that Vermont changed this year because Vermont used to be September. And then it changed to the same weekend as Notchview this year.
Right. Yes. That was unfortunate because Craig and some others that would have otherwise done it had to drop from the team. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, because we always do Notchview.
It was pleasant though, Celeste. The weather was great. So instead of it being like at night, you have to bundle up. It was kind of cool because it's up in the mountains. It's up at a ski slope in Vermont, but it was like, I didn't have to like wear long sleeves at night. It was great. So you could actually kind of enjoy the night experience.
That's at Ascutney, if I remember correctly.
Correct.
Yeah, that's so much fun. Okay, so which out of all the Ragnars you've done, what's your favorite? First of all, what's your favorite road one, and then what's your favorite trail one, and why?
Oh wow! Well, I mean, it's hard to beat that first one, Niagara Falls.
Yeah, that was
just
epic.
Because
that team. Yeah, that team. Was that when you got your nickname Butt Cake?
It was on the drive up.
So this is my favorite Ragnar story. So we're driving up, and one of the things that we used to do in our van all the time was get on Urban Dictionary and find the most obnoxious definitions just to be stupid, right? Because Ragnar, you're locked in a van. You're just an idiot, right? So Selena was reading a definition to us, and she says something like, oh, and I don't remember what it was. And then she's like, oh, butt cake. And we're all like, butt cake? What the hell is butt cake? And I think it was Tom's like, can you spell that? And she was trying to say bukkake, but she read it wrong. And somehow that nickname, like you became that nickname. So we call you butt cake all the time now. And it actually became a verb because you have this gift, or I don't know if it's a gift, but curse. No matter what race we go to, you somehow cause horrible weather. The year you did Anchor Down, hurricane. The year you did, what was it? Hamster wheel. 0% of rain. We got rain.
It was only when I was asleep in the car that you got rained on overnight. Like I took a nap in my car.
Yeah,
and was perfectly happy and dry and
we got rained on. Yeah, and we're like, fuck butt cake. So now, like every race, it's like, where is Rick? Because we need to decide where butt cake is before we sign up for this race. Like,
it's even like it's geographic. I was driving back from Vermont this year, and you all were at Notchview. And all of a sudden, Craig messaged me, said, Rick, did you just drive through Massachusetts? I said, yes. What happened? And apparently you all had just gotten dumped on. I was like driving through. Like,
torrential downpours. So somehow, like it's a curse. It is the butt cake curse. So if ever you're at a race and the weather is horrible, no Rick is there somehow. Yeah. Oh, next month, I'm going to Utah and Arizona. So please don't go near like the entire western half of the United States. Please.
Oh, congrats. Are you going to do the rim to rim?
So I can't do rim to rim to rim because there was a big fire and the north side of the Grand Canyon has been destroyed and is closed. So instead, I'm going to do a 60K in Bryce. We're going to do a short hike in Zion, and then we're going to do a section of the Grand Canyon. So we're going to go down the South Trail, across Tonto, and up Bright Angel. And Danny's coming with me, last minute decision. So it's going to be fucking epic.
Oh, yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, that's going to be my 50th birthday. Anyway, so I get off topic. So, all right, so Niagara Falls was your favorite. And that one, I will say, the running section of the Niagara Falls Ragnar was shitty because it was like behind all these I don't even know how to explain it. It wasn't pretty. There was like one section near the lakes that was pretty, and then the finish line was stunning, but there was a lot of miles of just like ugliness.
Right. For the people that aren't familiar with Ragnar's, it's a course. So they take a 200-mile course and they break it up into 36 segments.
Yep.
And it's how you tackle those segments based on your team. So for like a standard team, it's 12 runners, 2 vans. And so you go like runners 1 through 12 3 times. Everybody runs 3 times. If you're doing an ultra, you do it 6 times.
Right.
And so nobody on the team sees the same segments as everyone else. And so not everyone gets a really beautiful segment. I remember from you at Niagara Falls, it was hilarious. Like you had to, and you're running nonstop. You start and there's no stopping. There's one of your team's runners is on the course at every time. And you just happened to hit downtown, I think it was Ontario, right when they were clubbing on Friday night.
Oh, fuck, yeah.
And you come through these people partying downtown Ontario, and you're bebopping with like neon lights all over you, and like you look like you were ready for a rave. But it was like, I remember it was difficult for you because it was just hard to navigate that, right?
Well, yeah, because there was like on the sidewalks were all these people outside the bars drinking because you're running, like you said, it's nonstop for however long it takes you to run that 200 miles. There's no breaks. There's a runner going at all time. Yep. So overnight you're running and people are partying and drinking. And I'm like, dudes, like get out of the way, like move, bitch. But it was fun. I mean, that's an experience, You don't usually run through a bunch of, I can't say you don't run through a bunch of drunk people because I do ultras, but you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's always it's a novel experience. It's something that you normally would not do in a vacuum. Like you wouldn't be running there. It's not, not exactly the safest sometimes. But,
right. And it is one thing about Ragnar, which I will say, the thing that makes or breaks a Ragnar, especially a road Ragnar, is your van, right? It's your team overall, but your van especially, because you're locked in a van for a few days, like with these people. So it really, the dynamic of who's in the van makes or breaks it.
The way I describe it to people when I'm bringing them on my team, especially if they don't know the team, I've gotten to the point where I've done enough Ragnars with people where people all know each other. We don't really have that many more new rookies. But the best way to describe it is you're either going to be friends for life or you're going to be mortal enemies.
So true.
For example, you and I and Selena ran we ran all the races together in Connecticut. But I wouldn't say, and I think maybe a great example is Megan. I was always aware Megan was in our van too that first year in Niagara.
Yeah, Megan's lovely.
And I was aware of Megan. I was kind of like friendly with her enough to say hi at races, but I didn't know her. But after that race, after doing a Ragnar with you all, it was always like I hug Megan all the time now, and it's just friends for life.
You do, you bond. You really do.
Correct. You have a chance to see people with their true faces on, which you don't always see. And when shit gets real, when you have like 2 hours sleep and hardly any food, and you're running all night, you kind of see people as they are.
Yeah.
So it's great.
And if you do some of the far ones, you're traveling too together.
Right.
I will say, for me, signing up, like if you're the captain and you're planning a Ragnar, it's instantaneously yes. Because I don't have to think. I'm just like, Rick, how much money do I send you? And where do I need to be? That's it. End of list. Like, you take care of everything, which is epic.
That's another thing I got from Selena. It's really about the captain. I think it's somebody to organize it so people can just focus on running, taking care of themselves, and having fun. Versus, oh my gosh, am I going to get lost? No, here's your course. Here's the information. So I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, and you are the most organized human being on earth.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's impressive. Anyway, all right. So, favorite trail Ragnar?
That one, I'm just again, it's just, well, okay. So I have A and B. So Vermont is always going to have a special place in my mind because it's close. It's where we have had so many fun experiences as a team.
When you threw yourself down the stairs.
Right. Yep. Threw myself down the stairs. Well, that's one way to break we found that's one way to break the Buck Cape curse of weather is to throw me down a flight of steps.
You threw yourself down the flight of steps, but we did have good weather that year, so.
But last year we got to go to a variety because on the way to getting trail Ragnars, there's not that many road Ragnars. I think we did 2 road Ragnars last year, so then we had to do 10 trails. And these are all like you found at Richmond. These are different courses, different kind of visions, different parks. It's usually in a park. And the one we did I went to Zion National Park. It was at a resort just outside of the national park and the trailheads. It was fantastic. It was stunning. So hard to beat that.
Well, I'm going there, like I said, in a couple weeks. So I'm very excited to see it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
Because Craig, you said the same thing, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That it's. I will say the trails were for the Ragnar were tough because the thing we ran into initially was you're starting at elevation. You're already I don't remember how far up, and so just walking to the main area, you're like, why is it so hard to breathe here? Because we weren't used to it. We're just and then the way they have the course set up, you run for about a mile and then you start going up some more and you end up climbing another 400 feet or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
But the views you get from it were amazing, and it was a great experience doing that one. I'm glad we were when Rick mentioned that one to me, I was signed up on that one as quickly as I could because that one I wanted to do at some point, go to Zion. So it was a great opportunity. It's weird because each of the different locations we went, for the most part, all of them were decent. There were a couple that, never need to do again type of thing. Atlanta,
West
definitely.
Virginia.
I didn't do West Virginia. I don't know what you and Rich were thinking doing it. What did you do? 2 years in a row? The Black
3.
Loop? You
Oh
did
yeah, we
3
did.
years. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I
you're
couldn't
from
remember.
West Virginia, though, right, Rick?
I am. Doesn't. But yeah, maybe I could adapt well with the locals, but this is like just off the beaten path. Yeah, I'm. Needless to say, not all these Ragnar trails are the same. So if you're going to do a Ragnar trail, I really recommend before you sign on to do your research. There's always runner packets from the prior year, and you can kind of read about it, read about things like Wi-Fi access, the 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 rules of the park, whether it's a 24-hour park where they're going to be locked in, how the parking situation is. This all factors in to whether you're going to have a positive experience. For example, with West Virginia, you're just you have no connection for 2 days. Like, so for good or bad. I mean, maybe some people are looking for that, but ancient porta potties. It's a beautiful course and it's a great event, but it's not for everybody. If you like the creature comforts like I do.
Oh yeah, you're a glamper.
I'm delicate. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As opposed to what was it, Ohio, that you went to Starbucks how many times during that?
Oh, it was 24 hours. It was a 24-hour park. So I was coming and going. Yeah.
Well, and I think too that a lot of times people don't think like, there's trail running and there's road running. And
Mm-hmm.
it's funny when you go to some of these, if you're an experienced trail runner, and then like Virginia, Richmond, right? Those trails were beautiful. I love them. They were barely trails. They were pretty much
Right.
dirt roads, right? And like the trails out here in New England are much different. We've got a lot more elevation, a lot more technicality. You know what I mean? So it's funny when roadrunners like, oh, this is the most technical thing I've ever done. And I'm like, oh, honey, come to New England with me. It'll be fun.
Well, one
And I'm
thing
not
that Ragnar
judging. It's
does.
just if you're going to get yourself in this situation, like you said, do your research and maybe get out on trails before you get there.
Oh yeah. Well, Ragnar trails. I mean, Richmond's a great example of this. They make it very easy for people. It's forgiving, as you would mention with the course. So what they try to do, and I saw this with a lot of their trails, is that they try to go for a place that has bike courses. And so that's, for example, what you had at Richmond, what you'll see at Vermont in particular,
Yeah.
is that you're running down what people use as a mountain bike course. So it's kind of, it's not like a lot of rocks in the course, trip over like Anchor Down. It's a curated course that is worn and it's visible and it's easy to follow and it's pleasant versus something that's horrific. And that's kind of like, for example, I mentioned West Virginia. That's not the case there. It's a very rocky course that's difficult. So again, they're not all the same, and it's definitely worth doing your research if you're going to do one of these.
I love it. I love so much that you guys did that last year. Like, what a huge accomplishment, right? Like,
It was a great accomplishment. And there were times that by the end we were just done. It was, well, the travel alone, really gets to you towards the end. And yeah, it was just, and we ran through so many different weather types beyond just, we had the hot, humid Atlanta. We had Texas, which was just boiling. It was dry and hot and sun, and it was dusty. I mean, if the weather was a little bit cooler, would have been beautiful trails. The trails were great to run on. It was just so hot there, so it was, it was so good to see different areas and different types of trails, or, but it does take a toll on you towards the end.
plus you were doing, like, I know you were doing a few things in addition to that though, Craig, because it wasn't like I was going to excuse you from the idiot, stupidity.
No. You expected me to do what, 100K at Notch View and hamster wheel on top of it. Plus, I did the 12-hour at Anchor Down.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was I supposed to feel bad for this? Because I don't at
Well,
all.
then Craig also kind of did some insanity at a couple of the trails where because he went to Hamster Wheel and some other places, Notchview, he couldn't make, Craig needed to make his 12. And so we did what was called a sprint and a regular track Ragnar at a couple of events in New Jersey and Texas, where Craig and I and one other person would run the regular Ragnar, our 3 legs for the trail Ragnar at night, and then get like an hour's sleep and then wake up at like 8 a.m. to do what's called a sprint Ragnar, where it's 3 runners and you run twice. And we did that in Texas, and we were ready to we were done. Like,
That was probably the worst I've seen you after a run. You were that last one. You were just like, no, that was tough. But
Yeah, because you didn't do a lot of them this year, did you?
I did one.
How about you, Rick?
I've only done 2. Yeah, I definitely scaled back, and it's kind of different. I mean, it's like it's kind of like when we hit that, the 169 running every town in Connecticut. Once you do it, it's kind of like it takes all the air out of it. It's like, oh, I attained that. What's next?
Yeah,
and you kind of like take stock. And honestly, it's kind of like, we drank too much Kool-Aid last year. It was just overwhelming. The travel, the vacation time took like advanced calculus to figure out.
Well, and you said it started in April, right?
Yeah. Our first one last year was Atlanta, which was
it was April
19th and 20th.
So you're talking really 8 months to do 12 Ragnars.
Yeah. We ran through, our last one was Florida in December.
Yeah, so 8 months to do, that's a lot. I mean, the travel alone is a lot. And remember, with Ragnar, you're running, at least 24 hours. You're not sleeping. And that, at our age, takes a little bit of recovery. At least some of us.
Well, yeah, and I captained. There was a couple of the events like Zion where we were running with another person that was going for a mortal that I'd met at a different event. She lives in Arizona. Well, she splits her time between Arizona and I believe Utah. And so she captained a couple teams, but aside from that, I think she captained maybe like 3 of the 12 teams I did. But I was captain for the rest of them, and so it was a little bit the bar was maybe a little bit higher because I was
work.
providing. Right, I was setting up the team, I was setting up the run order, doing the research, setting up the flights so we could be all on the same flight when we traveled. For example, to Zion, things like that. So yeah, it was definitely a doing. Like words can't describe what it took, and it's interesting that there is like when we were at Florida, that's where a lot of the what's called immortals kind of celebrate their accomplishment in Ragnar.
Okay,
and it's definitely a community of people that recognize that it's not easy to do. And so when it was nice to be able to meet other immortals and see like kind of what they went through and what they've done. And yeah, so it's definitely an accomplishment to be happy with and maybe move on for. Like, okay, yeah, that's great, but I'm not going to do that this year.
No.
I will say I love the fact that we're all kind of doing the same sport, right? We're all running. But there's so many different ways and different goals and different accomplishments that it's always changing. There's always something for us. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's so cool. So, yeah, what were you going to say, Craig?
I was going to say, kind of like a segue into that. I was not a part of it, but did you want to talk about the bee adventure?
Oh, yes. Okay. So, there's 2 more things about Rick that you have to know. So, God, this was 2020 during COVID. And obviously everybody was kind of with their bubble, right? So there was a couple people you would see outside of your family, not in March when it first happened, but months later when we were able to you could be outside as long as it was small groups or whatever, and you had your bubbles. And Rick came up with this idea because, the 169 family, it is, I mean, it's a cult, but it's also a family, and all these friendships and stuff. And one of the things he wanted to test was how safe it was for us to get together. So you came up with this idea, which was genius, and you and your wife rented the New Britain B Stadium, which is a minor league baseball stadium in New Britain, Connecticut. And you rented it for like 24 hours.
Correct.
And you had an ultra marathon there where we could run, the concourse, the bases. We ran all over New Britain. We went to McDonald's. First of all, where the fuck did you come up with this kind of idea?
Well, so in the midst of, because everybody's like, as you kind of mentioned, people are kind of like figuring out, the pandemic was just novel. People figuring out what they do. What do I do here? Like a lot of places that used to have like a revenue stream no longer have it. So, for example, the New Britain Bees no longer had baseball games. And so where's that revenue go? And in the middle of those two things that got me with it. One was that I'd done Anchor Down the prior year with you and some other folks. And I really liked that concept where you kind of like, there was a course, but it wasn't like it was kind of, I think Anchor Down every year they create the course, except for the paper course. But so you run a course, you loop around, and you're never really far out. You're never like two miles or so from finishing and being close to porta potties, food, whatever you need. You run as much as you want. You have fun. You camp out with friends overnight. I thought it was fantastic.
Yep.
And so there was that in my brain, but also I read an article. I forget where it was, but it was some stadium in Florida, a baseball stadium in Florida, that had listed the stadium on Airbnb for rental. So people could go to Airbnb and rent the stadium. I was like, well, that's fantastic. Maybe we do that and treat it like Anchor Down, where we can rent out a stadium and then do what we want there. And to their credit, the New Britain Bees were fantastic. So, I contacted some other places because there's a variety of stadiums around Connecticut, and they were very welcoming to it. They were fantastic. They gave us full access. So what they did was they gave us 24-hour access so we could stay overnight. They were fine with that. They allowed us to camp in the outfield, run anywhere we wanted. So it wasn't only the field, but it was a 2-field complex, and it was spacious enough that you could get a decent loop in. It wasn't just like running around the stadium, which I think there's some other races. For example, I think Fenway does this where they have a race where you run a 5K just within a stadium. We could have done that. But then it was really kind of like choose your own adventure, because at that point it was all about kind of spreading out. And so we rented the stadium, and it was pretty much like saying, hey, folks, this is a proof of concept. Let's see if this works. Katie and I rented out the stadium, and, they did things like they let us camp there, they let us full access. They made sure there was security.
Some merch,
trash. Too. Right. Well, that was kind of my,
Of course it was.
I get crazy. I get crazy with the swag. And so, like, I was talking to when we were getting checked in, we did the full thing. We did the full race experience. We designed our own shirts. We did things like we had baseballs for everybody. Everybody got a baseball that Betsy Titus customized with the event name on it. We created a medal, everything. So it was, and at that point, again, it was something like this was a group of people that were used to doing races multiple times a weekend,
Right.
multiple times a month, and everything got canceled. A lot of us, like, for example, that year I was training for Boston. Boston's canceled. You were training for Anchor Down, canceled. And we had nothing. It was just like kind of like going cold turkey. We're like, all right, we need some race. And this kind of fit the bill for us. We did it in July of 2020, which it's still kind of in the midst of the pandemic. It's still, there's no vaccine. People are still social distancing, but we went on with the understanding it was invite only. And I apologize for this. I didn't make it public, and nor did I ask people to pay a race fee. Like, this was kind of our party that Katie and I threw. And it was invite only. It was 30 people. And we said, hey, this is a group of people that that you're familiar with. that maybe if you get a little close to them, it's okay, but then you kind of know how they carry themselves in their day to day.
And it
And
was
so
a
it was maybe
couple
like a
bubbles.
safe space.
Right. You also
Right.
had a couple bubbles. Like it was, okay, well, these people, we will hike together or we'll run together. And then this group, you know what I mean? So it was very little cross contamination because there was like a couple bubbles that were invited, if that makes sense.
Right. It's people that kind of ran together. For example, Leslie and Jess were there, and Jess did her first ultra there, which was fantastic.
She did her first
Like
50K. It was so amazing, like tears.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic, and the accomplishments, and people really embraced it, which was great, which is what we were looking for. People just kind of said, "This is cool. Let's do it. Let's," and it wasn't like we weren't like offering like timing services. It wasn't like something that was high tech, but it was like, here, let's create in this horrible pandemic, let's create like a safe space that people can have fun, get a taste of the race, get a taste of the race community, run with friends, have fun overnight, and then call it. And everybody so it was fantastic. So over the course of that, so there's roughly 30 people, and you mentioned about Jess Reed doing her first 50K. Out of the 30 people, two of them did 100K distance, three people did 50 miles, 15 of, so roughly half of the people there did a 50K. Four people did a marathon, three did 23 miles, which is what I think Ingrid Down requires to be a finisher. And then there were three halves. So
beautiful.
I think, and all of these were like PR distances, like Gestury. These are distances that they'd never done before. So it's great.
Well, and Cher Bear dropped all her chicken nuggets, which is the weirdest thing to remember, but I remember that.
That was the junk food bubble. They ran to McDonald's.
Oh yeah, no, we did, and we also ran to a package store and got champagne and orange juice and had mimosas in the parking lot.
Yeah, I as a race director, I wasn't aware of that.
I mean, that didn't happen.
I will gladly
You have no proof.
decline that I knew that was going on.
It was. I'm gonna just pretend it didn't happen now, and you can't prove that it did. Yeah, but that was one of the coolest experiences, like to just rent a professional, ball park. It was just the coolest experience, and they let us like in the, the changing rooms and the dugouts and it was just, that was a cool experience. I'm kind of sad that it's something we can never replicate.
It's something we could replicate, but it's something that I can't imagine just the magic of it wouldn't be the same.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It was the circumstances plus the experience. It was just great.
Exactly. And the people, because again, a lot of what makes running, for me personally anyway, so magical is the people and the friendships and the bonding and the, you know what I mean?
Well, at that point, we hadn't seen each other in such a long time.
Right.
We'd all been hunkering down, and so it was great just to see people. It was funny seeing people figure it out too. Like, oh my gosh, am I going past this person? Am I allowed to pass them? She just kind of waving from afar. But yeah, it was great.
Well, like you said, especially 169ers, but every weekend, you would go to a race before the pandemic hit and literally see 100 people you knew at least, right? And people were doing sometimes 2, 3, 4 races in a week. And so it was from this, immersive social aspect of your life to all of a sudden not having any of that. It was nice to then see everybody and just remember that there were other human beings in the world.
Oh yeah, it was fantastic. I'm glad it went off well.
It was amazing. So good. Okay, now the last thing that we have to touch on, which is the thing that makes you more of an idiot than me. You know where I'm going with this, right?
Yep.
This is the king of food challenges. Now, you do both running and eating challenges and just eating challenges.
Correct.
All right, so tell me about some of these challenges.
Okay. Well, again, this kind of harkens back to why I got into running. But kind of running just is kind of fitness way to keep the weight down. But what I found is that I don't know, it's kind of like building up to it. So when you're running races, you're always kind of like watching what you eat until after the race. So you finish the race, you go grab snacks. And I've always enjoyed snacks, but I've always kind of enjoyed laying my hair down. So if I'm dieting 95% of my time in order to get my weight down for a race, it's nice to be able to just like kind of uncork it and say, all right, I'm going to eat whatever I want. This is a cheat day. And it first happened, it was funny enough, it happened just before the pandemic. I had my first challenge was, I'm sure most people have seen Man versus Food. And so it's something along those lines. It's that there's restaurants out there, there's a lot of restaurants out there that offer a challenge. They'll say something like, okay, do this thing where you eat like an ice cream sundae with 8 scoops of ice cream, 7 toppings, a brownie, a banana, with topping, and 4 cherries, which is what Mel's Downtown Creamery offers. It's called the Big Kahuna Challenge. And I did that
and year, but go ahead.
Oh yeah, so I did that after a race, and I actually did after Bolton Road Race, which is that hilly monstrous course.
Mm-hmm.
And so I defeated it, and so I was hooked. It was kind of like the races. So I was like, oh well, I'm actually I kind of can do this fairly well, and it's great to be able to eat all this horrible food. And so it kind of went from there. Like it didn't really pick up until in recent years, but I really don't. I most of the time during the day I'm vegan. I eat vegan, but I kind of set that aside. I thought this is my happy space. I'll eat meat. I'll eat cheese. I'll eat whatever for a challenge. And so now I've gotten to the point where I try to do when I'm not in training. I try to do like a challenge every 2 weeks. And so like I'm actually doing a challenge on Monday in Long Island at a place called Shrimpies, which is called a Mondo Burrito Challenge, which it's a 7-pound burrito made with 4 tortilla shells.
You do know that my big dog is 7 pounds.
Yeah. So I'm eating.
You're eating mercury.
I'm eating your dog. Yep. I'm eating mercury. Yep.
Look, I love you so much, Rick, but ew! So the first time I ever saw you eat like that, though, was Ragnar Niagara.
It was.
Because after we were done with the race, we went out to dinner, and you ordered like 3 meals and like 7 appetizers.
I ordered a couple of items off the kids menu as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just sat there and watched it. It was mind-blowing.
I've always had an appetite, that's for sure.
It's insane. And you actually succeeded in a lot of these. There's a few that you haven't done, but like because you did another one at Ragnar. Was it milkshakes?
And then, so in last year during Ragnar, New England, there's a place called the Newport Creamery in Rhode Island. And I was just kidding. Like you kind of like are you're just saying stuff to fill space at a Ragnar. But then I was talking to the person that was driving with me. I was like, hey, maybe there's a challenge after our first stop. And at the point I did this, I was facing 2 more runs, including a monstrous 11-mile overnight run. So in the middle of the night, running 11 miles through town. And lo and behold, there was something called an awful milkshake challenge at this place in Rhode Island. And I think it's called Newport Creamery. We have to drink 3 24-ounce milkshakes in one sitting. And so I did that after running 1 leg in Ragnar with 2 legs to go.
We were all hoping you'd shit your pants, but you didn't. And then what did you get for that? Because you got a prize or something and you gave it to a kid.
I forget what it was. I think it was like, what was it, Craig? You might remember.
I wasn't there, but I thought it was either another shake or a free coupon for one or something.
Yeah, and you gave it to this little kid who thought you were a super.
You get one to take home. Well, the kid was like watching me like I was an alien. He was
there
it was really cute. He was there with his grandmother, and just like it was just. I mean, it was actually kind of cute.
It was
because adorable. The kid was just like, "Oh my gosh, what's going on?"
Yeah.
And so, the prize is you drink 3 24-ounce milkshakes, and you get one to take home with you for free.
Yeah. The prize was like, a fucking milkshake.
Yay! Yeah. but it asks you to go. They don't want you to drink the fourth one there. I guess that would be tempting fate, pop. But I've done other ones like last year, particularly when we traveled for all these different places for Ragnar's. I was also looking at challenges I could do in remote locations. So, for example, when we were in Phoenix, Arizona, I did this challenge called the Serial Killers Challenge, which was a big 8-pound bowl of cereal that you had to eat in 60 minutes. And I did one in, where was it? Oh, it was in San Antonio. I did like this Robert Stack challenge, which was like 3 French toast, 3 pancakes, 1 waffle, 4 sausage. It's just, yeah. So there's a lot of fun challenges out there you can find if you look.
You do some of the running ones too, like the Krispy Kreme.
Every year I do the Krispy Kreme. So I've done that 5 years in a row now.
What is that one?
Okay, so the Krispy Kreme challenge, it's a fantastic event. And it's in Raleigh, North Carolina. And so what happened was, the way it started was there was a group of friends that were runners, and they kind of like were challenging each other. They're like, "Hey, what if we run from the bell tower, which is this monument and on the campus of North Carolina State University in Raleigh, North Carolina? What if we run to that from that monument to the Krispy Kreme store, eat a dozen donuts, and get back?" And it was like something stupid. It was like bragging rights. Who can do this, and who can do it the fastest? And what it's evolved into is the Krispy Kreme Challenge, which the Krispy Kreme Challenge is you have to run 2.5 miles from the bell tower to the Krispy Kreme store. There's only one Krispy Kreme store in town. You run there, you eat a dozen donuts, and you get back in under an hour.
Oh my God.
And I think you do get disqualified if you have a reversal. But then
reversal's a nice way of saying puke.
Yeah. Yeah, and you do see puke. It's hilarious. You see, like, as you're running back. I like to think that I'm generally competitive at this. I'm 1 year I was like top 10, but you do see some streaks ahead of you from like the people that are running really fast, where there's like some people that want puking. Particularly, so you get to the finish line and they have trash cans at the finish line. They know the score. But they've done a really good job. It benefits the North Carolina Children's Hospital, so it's a great charity.
Oh, I love
but
that.
Also what they do is they make it very accessible to folks. So you don't have to just do the challenge. They have, if you want to do, it's called like the No Donut, I think it's called No Donuts. You just run a 5K, or you run the 5 miles course without stopping to get donuts. Or you can do what's called, I forget what the name of it is now, but it sounds even worse, where you kind of eat however many donuts you want, and then you carry them back with you. So you'll see a lot of runners running this 5-mile course with backpacks on. And I always like running the course twice. So 1 year I ran it twice, and I ran the second time I ran it, I ate another dozen donuts.
Oh my God.
And you see people like kind of walking with donuts in their hands. And
how do you not shit your pants?
Well, that's my superpower. I mean, a lot of people have things that they kind of excel at, and that's the reason why I do these races of the Krispy Kreme Challenge. I've done, like, Ashley does the taco trials every year.
I was gonna say, you won the taco trials 1 year.
I did. I was on my game that year.
That was amazing.
And so, anyways, it's something that's never bothered me. I can run with food in my belly, and and I can eat fast. So I'm not. The way I describe the Krispy Kreme Challenge is I'm not the fat. There's elite runners that show up for that Krispy Kreme Challenge. Like, there are people running. I was like, Rich came with me this past year, and he's going to come again this next year. And Rich and I are like, that guy's wearing like an Olympic tunic. Like, I mean, there's these runners that take off, and so there's like this pack of runners that are well ahead of me, but I catch them at the Krispy Kreme location, and I pass them. So they actually, for those that do the challenge, they have a separate, what's it called? The timing mat you have to run through at the Krispy Kreme location. And so they actually time you. They give you a split they give you a donut split. Here's how long it took you to get your donuts done and get back. And so I would catch the fast runners there, and they just couldn't eat the donuts. Like, so they're faster than me, but they couldn't eat the donuts fast.
It's funny how, like, you kind of have to have multiple skills to succeed in something like that.
Oh yeah.
Like the taco trials? No. I eat because I can't eat that much. I'll eat like 2 tacos and I'm like, okay, I'm full. I can't 10 tacos in 10 miles. No, thank you.
Yeah, so it's weird. It's something that's never bugged me. I've never ran a race where I had an issue with, and I know a lot of runners, particularly ultra runners, that's a concern, is their hydration and also calories. And it's
That's
never
me.
been an issue for me. I open up the floodgates and I start eating. Like, so this year I ended up doing an ultra at the Ragnar. I ran 6 times instead of 3.
That's
And I
because somebody
essentially
had
did
COVID,
well, yeah,
and the somebody that had COVID was
stuff
me.
happens. But
So you got to
I
be
essentially
me.
just oh yeah, I got to be you for 3 times,
Did you
and
offend
it's just
anybody?
I would open up I'm sure it did. Yes,
Good boy.
easy. But I just open up the floodgates. I start eating, I start running, I start eating, and I don't distinguish between the two. Like,
I would love to see how that would be over like a 72-hour race, right? Like to see how, because what did you do at Hamster Wheel?
I've done it twice. The one year I wasn't in the best shape, but the year before I think I did. I think I ended up doing 50 miles.
All right.
Uh,
So you are capable of some mileage. I'd be curious to see how you would handle a multi-day event where you're really, you're running for 72 hours and see how how your body handled that. It would be really fascinating to watch.
I'm
Right?
down for it. I don't. Yeah, so I'm always up for any challenge, and like you said, like I'm stupid. I don't say no to an event, and so
I would
you
love to
guys.
get you to Notchview. Craig, can we make him do Notchview next year?
Well, I'm doing Vermont next year, which is overlaps with the
Oh,
Notchwest.
fuck that. Okay. All right, we'll
which
find you a different one.
I may also be doing, just so but and then I'll come and do the 24 hours at Nashville.
Well, fuck you too, you stupid ass.
Craig's looking
love
for the
you.
degree of difficulty. I'm going to do a Ragnar, then I'm going to go do an Ultra.
I mean, that makes sense to me.
Yeah,
I mean, the
different level
Ragnar,
of
think about it.
stupidity.
Like, if you're doing a 72-hour event, what's the difference if you go do Ragnar for 24 hours and then a 24-hour event? Except that you're driving, but you're running for 2 days.
Yeah.
With no sleep.
But I definitely the eating portion of an ultra definitely appeals to me. I like being able to. The first year I did Anchor Down Ultra, I was every half loop I was chugging a Coke, and then the other half of the loop I was chugging like Mountain Dew, and I was eating donuts and pizza, and just it was great. And I could be an idiot with my diet because if something went sideways, there was I was never too far from a bathroom. Versus if you're running a
like a road marathon.
like a road marathon, road ultra, then you get some intestinal distress out on the course, and gravy legs all the way.
Yeah, you're screwed.
Yeah.
I would love to see, like, you track. It'd be interesting for you to do an ultra and to track your caloric intake, like to actually track it and to see like how much you actually take in. It would be absolutely fascinating to me. Because I've seen you eat, and you literally eat more in one meal than I eat in a week. Like, I've seen it. It's insane. How would we track that, though? The calories? I don't know. Anyway. All right. Next year's challenge, we're going to get you to do an ultra with us.
Sounds great. I'm down for it.
I love that so much.
Well, I'll be at Hamsterville this year, I think.
Are you doing Hamsterville this year?
I think so. I think we'll do a part of Megan's team though. Like I'm gonna
you're
just
doing a
show up and
relay.
run part of it. Yeah.
Oh,
Like
I love that.
my hip isn't to the point where I can do it by myself, or it doesn't make sense for me to do it by myself.
Right. But you still get all the perks of being there. Like you get to hang out, you get to eat, and the kitchen there is sick.
Oh yeah, that's out. Just incredible.
Yeah. The food there. Oh, can't wait. I'm going to see if I can pull off 100 there this year. So we'll see how that goes. But let me get through. Actually, Not To You Invitational is next weekend. And then I have my trip and then Hamster Wheel. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, all right. Well, I'm going to wrap this up because it is past my bedtime because I'm old. And I'm sure at this point, Rick, you are hungry.
I am ready. Yes.
See, I know you. But I thank you very much for coming on. And warn your wife, because I want her to come on to discuss 169.
Okay. Sounds great.
Yeah, I would
Thank
love
you
that.
for the invite.
Yeah, I would love that. All right. Well, we absolutely adore you. And do you have any final words?
No.